Hello, this is my MVC application. So initially when you load up the page, we'll just pull it right up here. It's going to ask you to log in. So what we'll do is just type the user that I have preset for this. We'll hit login. Next it brings you to the page where you can list all the users, where you can delete them or update them. These two errors I wasn't receiving up until just before this video. I might have made some modifications to the actual code when I was creating the not the lab assignment, but what is it called? The group project that we did in class. But I don't remember really modifying anything, and I downloaded my original copy from FSO, and it's still giving me these errors. On my Windows computer, it's also showing that it's not safe to rely on the system's time zone settings. You're required to use date.timezone, and for some reason I don't even use that tag anywhere in my code. But I'm still working on that error. However, it still completely works. It's just throwing off those two errors for some reason. So initially when you come on the page here, you can add a user, or you can go back to the login page or the home page. So what we'll do is we'll add a user. This is pre-populated here just because the actual, for some reason the error code's still coming up on all of the PHP. I think I might have messed up something with the error reporting because it originally wasn't turned on. But so let's say we wanted to add Bob, and then we'll just give him the password. So I just added Bob here. There was a couple of entries. The way that the code's working right now, it just adds one whenever I load this page, but that's because of the actual home controller. It's overloading one of the actual functions I have inside there. But anyways, we can easily delete right from this page. So say we want to get rid of those two users, and now we're only displaying Bob and Chris inside of the database. So if we pull up SQL Pro and we go to the actual content inside there, and we refresh it, there's only Bob and Chris showing right now. Both passwords are hashed. They're given an ID name and a username, and as well too as you can upload an image with it too. I have it partially in my code here. The only thing that I couldn't actually get to work was the update page. For some reason it's giving me trouble with the actual updating of it. Let me pull up the update page here. So I created two different classes, both an update and then an update user. The update one is going to be the population for the actual forms on the page, so that way when you go to update something, it pre-fills the actual form with the username and password that's already set as the user. And then the next function here, the update you, what that does is the actual update function. So when you submit the form, it's going to run this and input it into the database. I'm pretty sure I bind the parameters correctly because I'm giving all the IDs and the usernames, as well too as if up here the update statement is correct, because I can run this in MySQL with the filled parameters and it'll work perfect. As for the result, I'm not trying to return anything, so I think that might be part of the issue. But what's happening is when I go to actually update the page, it submits the user as a new user in the database, but it doesn't actually update the original user. But I know it's grabbing the ID because it replaces those items with certain items. So this is my delete code. Pretty much it's simple. You know, pass the ID in, the ID transfers into here, binds to the parameter, and then now I can put it inside of the actual SQL statement and call it. And then it will send that, and then it will delete from the database as well. So that way it's just not deleting on the front end side. As well too as I have my JSON file. So this is the actual JSON here, the one that we built that was a pre-built array where we can actually pull the feeds from. Then I have the actual parse statement here, which this one here actually loads from Instagram. We ended up getting it working during the group application project, so that was pretty cool. So what it does is inside this for loop, it runs every single time. It's going to call for 20 items from the actual request. So if I equals 0 and it's greater than 20, then increment up. The cool thing about that is it became useful when I was actually trying to do down here. Instead of using like a number, I can do an auto increment to repeat the different type of statements coming from the users. So here it'll say, oh, pull this picture from here from this user number 1 and number 2, number 3, number 4, and it'll keep going down that list that the API sends back. So the Twitter one's pretty simple. You just do the get keyword, so when you search for something, it puts the keyword into the URL, and then it passes it into the actual API parameter. So that way we can send it off with the actual client ID, and then that'll return back, and the JSON will decode it, and then it'll transfer the actual information into here, and then repeat itself over and over 20 times. As for else, this is my home controller. Inside here, it's got the delete user and the update user. Both of them are using the get views, so that way it's using the actual model, so that way we control where things go. As well too is it just passes certain items in and then defines them. So I redefine the ID here, so that way I can pass it into the fill statement here, so I can pull the pre-populated information from the database for the user. As well, two passwords are encrypted still, SHA-1. Both when you add the user and when you go to initially log in, it checks for both of those. And yeah, that's pretty much it.